So I was pretty excited about going to Philadelphia, frankly. I didn't want to let it onto the committee. You know, the first interview got to be kind of poker face, but I wanted to check out the predominantly Jewish neighborhoods. No problem, I had a rented car and a map. And back then, to find Jewish neighborhoods, all you do is look in the yellow pages under restaurants dash Chinese, right? Jews love Chinese food. And the reason's very simple. Well, all of the pork and shellfish is diced up beyond recognition. I had a woman confess to me, she said, Rabbi, I want you to know we keep strictly kosher at home, but we do eat non-kosher food outside the house. I said, that's perfectly all right, Mrs. Rosenberg. Your dishes will go to heaven. And I found out something when I was doing a show in Portland. I did not know this. Apparently for the Jews of Maine, but Maine only, lobster is permitted. but no butter. We love Chinese food. When I was growing up, Sunday night was Chinese food night in our family, maybe yours too. Sunday night. We had our favorite Chinese restaurant. We had our favorite Chinese waiter. Took very good care of us. Lovely man. My father was always very inquisitive. One night he says to the waiter, what is, looking at the menu, what is mugu sum dip? He looked at my father, he said, it's for goyim. I always enjoyed giving sermons, and I still do High Holy Day services in Philadelphia every year, love doing it. Most of my sermons last an average of, I'd say 16 to 18 minutes. If I have something particularly detailed to say, I think I have a right to go on a little bit longer. And you know, I don't mind looking out in the congregation and seeing someone going like this. What bothers me is when I see someone going like this. Woman came up to me one night, she said, Rabbi, your sermon was absolutely superfluous. I said, thank you. Some of them will be published posthumously. Oh, she said, wonderful, I can't wait. I think it was the same woman another time. She said, you know, Rabbi, each one of your sermons is better than the next. During one of my first weeks at the Oneg, a man came up, shook my hand, and said, Shabbat Shalom, your sermon was boring, and he walked away. Came up again, Shabbat Shalom, you didn't prepare very well. Came up a third time, Shabbat Shalom, your sermon was much too long, and he walked away. Finally, I went over to the president, and I said to her, excuse me, who is that gentleman standing off there by himself? She said, don't pay any attention to him. He has some problems. He likes to walk around repeating everything he hears. And I think it must have been the teenagers of this. I walked into the men's room, and on the electric hand dryer that blows hot air, someone had put a little yellow post-it note reading, press here for a message from the rabbi. So I was in congregational life for 14 years. I realized it was time to leave when I was walking into a meeting of our board of trustees, and I overheard one congregant say to the other, I'm not sure which way I'm going to vote on the issue, but I'm prepared to be bitter. So I still, even after I left congregation, I used to do a lot of weddings. I only do one or two maybe every couple of years, only for nieces and grandnieces primarily. But did tons and tons of weddings back in my day. And the worst had to be the outdoor summer event in Philadelphia. I know how these happen. People select a location in the winter or spring and don't anticipate how dreadful it is in the middle of July and August in Philadelphia. I had one wedding, it was 99 degrees out. Everyone stayed in the air-conditioned reception room to the very last moment. When it was time to begin, the ushers first escorted all the elderly people out. Well, they do that as kind of a courtesy, so the older folks can spend just a little extra time in the heat and humidity. The couple dragged themselves down the aisle. When they reached me, the bride looked at me imploringly. She said, Rabbi, it's so hot. Could you please make it a quick ceremony? I said, do you both want to be married? They said yes. I said, you are. Autumn weddings are a little bit better because the temperature is much more conducive. I had an autumn wedding where the chuppah was set up in front of a pond on a large estate. Things went very nicely until about halfway through, when it seemed as if the entire goose population of Ottawa decided to swoop in for a pit stop into the pond behind me. So once they landed, they had to discuss their journey with great enthusiasm. I had to stop everything. I said, ladies and gentlemen, try to ignore the commotion behind me. It's just the pate warming up. And a very nervous groom, at a certain point, I turned to him and I said, Phil, would you please face Nancy and recite the vows? He said, A-E-I-O-U.